Hey folks, recently I leveled a mage on a brand new server in an attempt to figure out just how bad the new player experience is. I challenged myself to both get AOTC and Keystone Master on this character with no external help from my main characters or from my friends. I was simply going to just join pugs for the entire process, and within less than a week, I've decided to scrap the entire challenge. Here's the kicker though, I never even made it to the point where I had to join pug groups. The moment that I realized just how incredibly bad the catch-up systems are for new players, I concluded that this challenge was just not something I was willing to do. Now, I know that some people were looking forward to this challenge, and if you are one of them, I apologize. The reality, though, is that there are a ton of different video ideas that I want to work on, and a series like this would end up consuming a colossal amount of time. Recently, I even came up with an idea to do a budget speedrun, where I only give myself like 5k gold, and I have to buy all the consumables that I want to speedrun with, and then I need to use that to go as fast as possible, but if I continued to spend days of my time doing nothing but slowly chipping away at this arcane mage, it would probably take over a month before I could actually attempt to do the budget speedrun. So scrapping this challenge has allowed me to focus on projects like that, which honestly people seem to be more excited for. Now, real quick, before I hop into why I believe the new player experience is so bad, I just want to take a quick moment to be a little bit selfish. If you enjoy these types of videos, be it the speedruns, the random challenges, or even the design critiques, I would really appreciate it if you could subscribe. I could sit here and tell you that it boosts me in the YouTube algorithm and provides you with notifications and blah 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 blah, but the reality is that it really just makes me happy, honestly. I've mentioned this before, but in the process of trying out a lot of these new ideas, I've witnessed a steady decline in my subscriber count, and this makes it pretty demoralizing to actually try to branch out into new types of content. I get this feeling that people are enjoying my videos because I get really nice comments and messages and stuff, but the numbers just tell me otherwise, and that causes this really big mental disconnect and struggle that I have to deal with when going out of my way to create new types of content. So I generally don't like to do this, but it would really mean a lot if you could subscribe if you like this type of content. So, as I said, over the past week or two, I've been leveling this mage on Illidan. That was the server that I chose that I don't have any previous characters or friends on. That's where I leveled it. Now, I documented the process of leveling this character in 4 different parts. They're all up on my channel. You can go watch them right now. Links are in the description. And I ended up hitting level 60 early in the morning on a Saturday. And that gave me about 3 full days before the reset of that week to farm gear. Now, for starters, I had to pick a covenant, and I'm playing Arcane Mage, so I decided to choose Kyrian. Now, I was still faced with the ridiculous task of having to grind out multiple campaign chapters and around 40 renown just to be able to access the new 9.1 content. I think this is really silly, even if you're just doing it for the first time as a brand new player, but you have to remember that this was still on my account, so for all intents and purposes, it was an alt. The lack of any account-wide campaign skips, that's just baffling to me. I really don't understand how you're supposed to be like sitting here on every single new character, forced to farm through the entire campaign and grind out multiple different forms of content just to get the renown that you need to actually play the fucking game. It's baffling. I don't understand why this is still in the game, and Blizzard really needs to fix it. But thankfully, during this week, when I decided to do the challenge, the PvP Brawl Comp Stomp was available. That meant that I could farm a lot of really easy renown with relatively low effort just by queuing up and, well, admittedly, sometimes AFKing while I farmed constant renown. Now, I had to do a lot of Comp Stomp, and I mean a lot of Comp Stomp. In total, I completed 41 games in order to catch up on renown, and that was only just to be able to unlock the new stuff, not even to get fully caught up and get ready to do the end content like Sanctum of Domination. I also got a decent amount of honor, which allowed me to buy roughly 190 item level gear, which is like not even enough to queue for LFR. So honestly, at the end of the day, not only was it quite possibly the most boring experience of my life, as in like, I would rather go back to college and retake calculus than have to do Comp Stomp all over again. Fuck that, I hated it. But also, I got really shit rewards to, like, show for all of that effort that I just spent. Like, wow, congratulations, you just spent literally days of your life. Here, you can finally play the game, and here's a quest, or a set of, like, quest reward gear to get you started. I fucking hate this system. So, at this point, I finally at least can start to play the game, right? So I can enter Korthia and do my daily quests, and they offer me absolutely nothing unless I continue to grind them for like 2 to 3 weeks with perfect precision, or realistically, like 2 to 3 months if you're not going out of your way to farm every single rare on the map and do the rift every day and sit there and wait for the like teleporter to spawn and all that bullshit. So I really get nothing from that. Now, I also got callings done. That gave me basically no tangible upgrades. I got like 1 quest reward level item. Then I did the 2 world bosses and I got a 207 cape. So that's awesome. That's worse than a mythic 0. Fan-fucking-tastic, and I've still made virtually no progress on my conduits or soulbinds, so if I want to actually increase those, I'm going to need to go back to Korthia, farm a shit ton of that, or just sit here and do fuck all for weeks while I wait for it to spawn on world quests so I can actually progress through these systems. It's fucking drip feed content. It hurts my fucking brain. Now, mind you, all of this is going on, and I still haven't even unlocked my legendary, much less crafted it, and that not just massively boosts my damage, but it completely changes the way that I play Arcane Mage, so the entire time that I'm doing all of this content, I'm building bad habits and learning a playstyle that will completely alter once I actually equip my legendary. So, I'm sitting here like, alright, fuck all the rest of this shit. I'm gonna go get my legendary done. That's probably a good first priority. Now, I checked the auction house, and somehow there were actually pretty cheap items for sale. I was quite surprised. I managed to get a pair of 235 gloves for only 12k, and thanks to the callings and selling Quartzite crystals, I actually had enough money to pretty easily afford this, along with all the missives that I needed to craft the legendary. Now, at this point, I just needed to get the memory in the Soul Ash, and I decided to start with the memory, which drops off the Mana Storms and the other side. I first attempted this on Heroic, and I got fuck all, so I just sat in LFG for about an hour until I somehow managed to get invited to a Mythic 0 group. Luckily, in this run, it dropped for me, so I didn't have to do anything else, and I just had to go do Torghast. Now, Torghast, coincidentally, was the last thing that I ever did before I quit this challenge. And since one of the few account-wide unlocks in place allowed me to select my Torghast layer, I figured, fuck it, why not? I'll start with layer 9, right? How difficult could that be? It's not layer 12, it's just layer 9. It gives me soul cinders, but I can still, maybe make do. I'm close to 200 item level at this point, shouldn't be too bad. But the tuning on it was just fucking bullshit, right? Like, it's doable, okay? I scraped through, I managed to actually get it done without too much difficulty, but it was fucking miserable. So, I will say, disclaimer, right? I mostly play tanks and melee DPS. I decided for the purposes of this challenge to change things up a little bit. I figured, hey, I'll play an Arcane Mage, right? I normally don't play casters, especially mages, so that'll be something new. I get to experience, like, honestly what a new player would feel, having to do something that they've never actually done before. Figured that would be a good way to actually get that experience, but as a result, I just felt fucking miserable the entire fucking time, because I have to basically kite most of the time, right? But spells force me to stand still as an Arcane Mage, unless I'm using, like, Arcane Barrage on cooldown and spamming Arcane Explosion as I run, which honestly is what I kind of had to do most of the time. And there's, like, a million different high-priority interrupts in Torghast, but Counterspell has a really long CD, so that meant I would frequently just get blasted by something that I could not interrupt, and I mean, yeah, maybe with enough practice, I could, like, learn to kite and LOS and get the interrupts off at the right time and, like, time my ice block or, blink around a corner. I don't know. I'm sure I could figure something out, right? I get that I'm not playing Mage perfectly, but the reality is that I spent about 30 to 45 minutes having the most miserable experience in this game that I've had in a very, very long time. And that is how most new players are going to engage with this system. They're going to enter it, say, wow, this is fucking garbage. I could sit here and slam my face into it to get rewards so I can maybe finally do the content that everybody's telling me about, or I could just go play fucking Final Fantasy XIV. So I managed to slog through this, right? Because I'm not a new player. I am playing this as an alt, and even though I hate it, I got through it. And after all of that, after all of Layer 9 Torghast, I killed the final boss. I'm sitting here. I'm like, alright. Whew, it's done. Finished Torghast, finally claim my rewards. And then I look down, and I see that I get 915 Soul Ash and 90 Soul Cinders. Now, if you do the math on this, you'd realize that I would need to do this thing 6 more times, not accounting for diminishing returns, because you basically get full Soul Ash 2 times a week, and then after that it gives roughly 20% of the value on subsequent kills. So basically I would have to do Torghast 6 more times, fully, And if I wanted to spam it this week, it would probably be closer to the realm of 15. And then if I wanted to actually get more than just a 235 legendary with Soul Cinders, I would need to do this roughly, maybe not 15 more times, but I would need to do it like 7 more times. You can assume that over time, as the weeks go on, I would slowly be able to progress towards layer 12 if I was really putting in all the effort. So let's say 7 or 8 more times I would have to do Torghast just to be able to get my legendary. And then I kind of just sat there for a moment in silence, thinking over everything I had already done to lead to this moment, and everything that I still needed to do. And all of this was just to be viable at a basic level. I would still need to farm additional hours of Torghast. I would still need to log on every day to do my callings. I would still need to grind Korthia to get maybe some minor upgrades from quest rewards, or upgrade it with the cataloged research, and then maybe get a conduit that I need so I can actually perform viably in raid. And then I would also need to farm LFR and hope to get drops from them. And maybe, just maybe, if I'm lucky, I could get some domination slots and domination like socket items and whatnot. I could do all of that, right? I can maybe, just maybe, do that and be viable. I can maybe start to pug my way after all of that to AOTC, to Keystone Master. I could, after weeks and weeks and weeks of farming, get there. But I thought about it all, and I just realized there's only one answer that truly seemed appropriate. Fuck no. And so the challenge ends. Now, I would acknowledge that I do technically have less motivation to continue than a new player would in many scenarios. Now, I did say that obviously a new player in many cases will just say, fuck this, and go play a different game. And I do think that in the vast majority of the cases, right, this is what a new player would do. But it can be argued that some new players who are especially motivated would slog through this garbage to really get their foothold in this game so that they could start to progress and they could start to do all of the cool things that they see all these top-level players doing. And admittedly, I don't really have this fire under my ass, this motivation, because I already have AOTC. I already have Keystone Master. I'm already doing Mythic Progress. So this is not only like kind of not really important to me, but I'm already doing it. So it's like I have less motivation. But at the same time, you also have to remember that throughout the process of doing all of the stuff that I've just described, even though I'm playing Mage, which is something I'm not familiar with, I have much more actual like experience and practice in the game. I have much more game knowledge. I understand how all the systems work on an intimate level because I've already progressed through them. So sure, a new player might have, you know, way more motivation than me, but they would also have way less knowledge than me. And this means that the experience would be twice as frustrating for them. Now, seeing as how slow and difficult this entire process is, I really can only say that there's one moral to the story. Join a guild, make friends, do research, and trust me, when you do that, you will have a far more enjoyable time playing this game or really any other multiplayer game. Playing any sort of game like this, especially MMOs solo, and just trying to make your way through it with absolutely no help, just by pugging things and grinding it out on your own, it's just going to be an unfun experience, and it's going to end up taking longer and just being miserable. You're going to get far more mileage, be you a veteran player who is now coming back into the game, or a brand new player who has never stepped into WoW, joining a guild and making friends. And now, I will acknowledge that this can be kind of difficult. I know that a lot of people struggle to make friends, right? And I'm not saying that this is a perfect solution, right? This is a band-aid solution until Blizzard gets their shit together and actually fixes the new player experience to be enjoyable for everybody. If you truly want to play WoW, do Mythic raids, that is currently your really only viable option. Because you're probably going to get burnt out before you can actually do anything serious if you try to take the journey that I was presenting here. You need to join a guild. You'll enjoy it more. Now, admittedly, guilds can be pretty hit or miss, right? You know, I've had a pretty fun journey across many different guilds, but it does get a bit iffy. You know, sometimes you get stuck raiding with a BM hunter who spends every prog night talking about how much damage he's doing and how he really wants to fuck his stepsister, but I would still say that overall, it's infinitely better than spending hours and hours slamming your face into pug groups. Now, this video was a bit shorter than normal, and I still kind of feel bad about having to cancel this challenge, so I've decided to do something a bit special. As I mentioned at the start of this video, I've dusted off my old Volpera Hunter, the one which I got the original 10 to 50 world record with, and I did a budget speedrun from 50 to 60 with it. Tomorrow, I'll be posting a highlight video going over the concept that led me to creating this budget speedrun, and 2 days from now, the run itself will be posted, but wait, because there's more. Since I felt bad about canceling this challenge on my mage, I've decided that I'm going to attempt a revised version on my hunter. Now, this character is on Mal'Ganis, which is the server that I mostly play on, so I have already mailed over golden items and I've started to progress, but all of the actual progress that I've done, outside of like crafting my legendary and stuff, but basically all the progress I've done in groups, I should say, has been done 100% within a pug. So on this hunter, I will be basically doing the heart of the challenge, which is pugging my way to both Keystone Master and AOTC. Now, you might be thinking, oh, but Hunter's so much easier. That's basically cheating, but I'll let you in on a little secret. I play Survival Hunter. And at the end of the day, isn't pugging Keystone Master and AOTC on a Survival Hunter, of all things, the true ultimate challenge? Personally, I think it is, and I'm honestly really excited to try this out. Now, the first video documenting my pugging experiences as a level 60 Survival Hunter will be coming out 3 days from now. So we're going to have 3 days of budget speedrun related videos and then continuing the challenge that I initially started off with. So I'm pretty excited about that. Also, one last thing, I do plan to return to streaming, which is something that a lot of people have asked me about, and I'll be starting off with another budget speedrun. Now, no date, no ETA yet on the actual stream itself, but if you want more details on how that budget speedrun will go, I highly encourage you to check out tomorrow's video because I'm going to have some more details on it there. So, hopefully all of this content will make up for me canceling this challenge. I do once again apologize for that. Thank you for watching, and I do hope you check out the upcoming videos.